And we try to see whether the banks are better off maintaining the companies as going concern, but restructuring the debt under certain basis that we would propose, no? So the companies can survive, no?
The restructuring of debt involves creditor banks and other creditors dealing with the client through a third party. It's a complicated affair with the right timing and communication skills playing a big part in its success. This is what happens.
To restructure the debt in general means that we take a look at not only the maturities of the debt, but also any grace period on principal payments, any reduction in interest, and various other combinations. No? Basically, what you want to do is to develop some cash flows for the firm or for the group that they have some breathing space up front and spread out the payments over a longer period of time, both principal and interest. The creditor banks have an option of just liquidating the companies and try to get whatever values are left after liquidation, after all of the assets are sold off. As you know, in any liquidation or fire sale like this, you don't get much value out of it.
Well, the fire sale probably won't happen, and the debt will be restructured.
If the banks really called their loans and just walked off and let all these big shipping groups collapse, that would have had a tremendous negative effect on the market and would have a tremendous bad effect on the reputation and image of the creditor banks.
The creditor banks, I guess it would depend on which one, but overall are rather large institutions. And generally the person or company who's coming here to invest and look for their credit will take it wherever they can get the most favorable terms, image aside. So I don't particularly think that a one-incident refusal to restructure would particularly tarnish a creditor bank.
Nolan Gimple has been in Hong Kong for 4 years. His American firm does $100 million worth of business in Hong Kong and China. So he knows what really affects the shipping business.
Shipping is so important to Hong Kong, and it's so diverse in terms of the number of trades, the number of lines, etc. I'm not sure the refusal to restructure any one company would spell disaster for the shipping industry.
But there wasn't a refusal to restructure the shipping group's debt.
We feel that the shipping industry worldwide should be picking up over time. I mean, it can't stay in these levels forever, no? And under certain assumptions, we worked out the numbers and we showed the banks that they're better off restructuring the debts and give the company some breathing space, no?
Some lines are going through a bad period, but from all the indications, things should be looking up for the shipping industry.
Shipping transportation, some of the American shipping companies have been hurt by competition, and some of them are going through a Chapter 11 reorganization. But in my opinion, and having talked to some steamship operators, they've had a banner year in 1986.
With a healthy shipping industry, the restructuring of the shipping group's debt will probably go ahead. And like this bird soaring upward, one financial house is looking ahead to a healthy cut. Maybe it's around 10%.
Well, I would say 10% is on the high side, obviously. Maybe 1 to 5 might be a reasonable range. But, you know, it depends also on what is the base.
Debt restructuring is just part of the service industry in Hong Kong, and the signs of the industry's explosive growth involve a human dimension.
If you're recruiting at the senior levels, we handle maybe 150 to 200 jobs a year, and it cuts across all industries at all different functional levels and disciplines. So I think, you know, if you're looking for a trend, all I can tell you is that our business has tripled in the last 5 years, so the trend is really uptick.
Recruiting for the service sector means recruiting brain power, and that has one big advantage.
Service industries, for example, you don't need a lot of capital to start a service company, right? So those people may or may not have only a short-term view, but they can get out very quickly.
Not needing a lot of capital is one thing, but service firms are here because of another factor.
Hong Kong is becoming more prosperous. As Hong Kong becomes more prosperous, the need for financial services becomes more apparent.
Shipping various products is also part of the service industry, even though it requires more capital investment for fleets of ships and containers. And that means the need for stable political conditions. Like all U.S. firms in Hong Kong, one American shipping line took a hard look at 1997.
We went through the same kinds of concerns as everyone else prior to the signing of the Sino-British Accord. We've seen the confidence in Hong Kong, both internally and externally, return, and therefore we're not particularly concerned about 1997.
And neither is Esso concerned about 1997. It has more than a third of the $6 billion US that American firms have invested directly into Hong Kong. That's being used to build the Castle Peak power plant, an operation that's in for the long haul, even after 1997. But if Americans aren't concerned about 1997, there are others who are.
I think the 1997 issue is an issue that is much more sensitive to the local Hong Kong people.
We're all visitors. We can pack up and leave. The Chinese people that live here and have their families here and their investment here are risking their life's holdings. We're not particularly. Sing unto the Lord the wonders of his love. Love of the Lord endures forever. Sing unto the Lord of the wonders of his mercy.
Some American business people might be thinking about 1997. But these singers weren't. They were just performing at a Thanksgiving service in a local church last November.
Rooted deeply in our Judeo-Christian heritage, the practice of offering thanksgiving underscores our unshakable belief in God as the founder of our nation. And
This was a speech by Don Anderson, the Consul General at the U.S. Consulate in Hong Kong. It was the highlight of the service. Whether he was giving thanks for profitable U.S. ventures, we'll never know. But his upbeat address indicated a mood of American confidence in the region. And if future American investors want to turn a profit in Hong Kong and Asia Pacific, maybe they should listen to a successful American businessman who's been in Hong Kong for 25 years. Here is Ira Kay's homespun philosophy.
Do your homework first. Know that what you're dealing with ties into the culture of the community here or in China. And secondly, Hong Kong is still the only place in the world where you can conceive of a business at 9 o'clock in the morning, have it incorporated by noon, and earn your first profits by 6, if you're lucky.
And stand by now for great sounds in Mile 7 Friday Solid Gold.